So, guys, I want to talk about AEW Dynamite, and I got some really bad news for you guys that I may actually stop watching AEW because, it's definitely just become very predictable, and it's just one of those things, too, that they don't have a lot of characters that you really just want to invest in. I think that, it's just running through the motions. Like, there's really no sense of trying something different or with different people, or everything seems a little too predictable, or it seems like everybody runs their same loop and cycle. So I want to kind of dissect this, and and we'll get through this. I'm gonna have a beer for breakfast. Caps Blue Ribbon, bitches. So the first match was like Kyle Fletcher versus MJF, and I have my notes right here. So what I want to say was that I liked this match. It was a good 50-50 match, and that's actually really good because you need to elevate new people. If you want to do something with Kyle Fletcher, it needs to be a 50-50 match. So I like the pile drivers. I like other moves that they were doing. But the ending of the match happened, and once again, Screwdriver Callus came down, and I actually think, if I remember correctly, I think there was like two matches on this card where he came down with a screwdriver, but he's doing that too much. He did it with Will Ospreay, so it has to stop. If you just do that all the time, really, it becomes a gag. It becomes the Conway Twitty thing. You're just doing that too much, really. The other thing that I have to say is that before I forget, I was a little mad with the Don Callis family. Like, they have a really great team. They have Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, Kyle Fletcher, and then they also have Roosh as well in that now. So you have like both Roosh. I think Roosh got the pinfall in the Orange Cassidy match. And then you also had Kyle Fletcher get the pinfall. So you have them as a jobber team. So that cannot be the Don Callis family. They're way more talented than that. And they actually need to be a really big deal team. So this is actually one of the reasons why I'm thinking about not watching it. Because you can't be burying them. And especially with Don Callis as a great heel manager. It evokes reaction out of the audience. It's definitely just not good that they're not living up. They're not allowing them to live up to full potential, really. But this was a great showing of Kyle Fletcher. But then I asked myself, what are you going to do with Kyle Fletcher? I don't think he's holding a championship now. He used to hold the pure title, I believe. But he should be going after a title. Why not? Figure out a title that he can go after, really, in AEW. Or what would happen if you actually have him versus Mark Briscoe, or maybe him versus use the pure title or another like title on ROH and defend at Wembley Stadium. Like do something. Like what does Kyle Fletcher want? Why does he want to be here? Is he gonna power around with Don Callis, or is he actually gonna do something else, or is he gonna power around with Don Callis and actually have a goal? Kyle Fletcher needs a goal, and that's the problem. A lot of these wrestlers don't have goals. Next match is Mariah May versus Vivian Van. I was very happy to see this give Mariah May victory. However, this should have been a squash match. I would appreciate if they did a promo with Vivian Van beforehand, and they actually had her talk, and they talked about what she wanted to achieve and accomplish, really. And then Mariah May beats her, and then tries to re-injure her. And as I said, then you make something interested in Vivian Van, really. So they need to kind of do more of that. Jack Perry had a really cool promo where he was watching surveillance footage. Unfortunately, it seems like they got their feed interrupted, or something happened where they showed a Taco Bell commercial in the middle of it. So it got me taken out of it a little bit. But it seemed like they had something really promising to say. The next thing was they had Orange Darby Allin responding to it and saying, you know what, the reason why I didn't set you on fire is because I wanted to finish the job at TNT for the TNT title at Wembley Stadium. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He was going to set him on fire, but the Young Bucks stopped him and forfeited. But, that doesn't make any sense, really, So I wasn't really happy with Darby Allin's response, really. Then you had Brian Keith versus Shibata. Once again, Shibata wins, and that makes it a little predictable. You should have had Brian Keith win just to kind of show that Brian Keith is a threat, really. And I think that's another issue with AEW is that they don't know how to have surprise wins. If you want to have the Jericho Appreciation Society at AEW Wembley Stadium, and definitely it should be there. Chris Jericho is a name. It would be good. It would be a good boost to Big Cass and Brian Keith, but in order to do that, you have to give them victories. Brian Keith should have won this match. There's nothing I remember about this. You had Orange Cassidy and FDR versus Rush, Mordos, and Roderick Strong. Again, there's nothing that I really remember in this match. But I do think, but if I remember correctly, Roosh got pinned, and as I said before, it's stupid because you're burying the Don Callis family. And I understand they're trying to do a storyline. I think they're going to do FTR versus Young Bucks versus the Acclaim. It's going to be a three-way tag. It's going to be a three-way tag team match at All In, and I don't want to see that. I'd rather see Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed, and then I would like to see the I like to see the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed at Wembley Stadium, and then after that, I'd like to see FTR versus versus the Acclaimed at All Out. Just see the trash guys here, you guys, because that asshole is loud. I'm seeing the trash man's here because he's gonna be like dumping shit and it's gonna be really loud. I was actually kind of happy too that I was kind of like happy with the sit down between Swerve and Jim Ross. It makes Swerve feel like a big deal to have this, and I'm also really happy that they're gonna do Okada versus Claudio Castagnoli for the Continental Championship at Wembley Stadium, because like, let's see what Okada can do. Like, this kind of will show you if he needs to be out of the elite group eventually, because definitely he has a lot of potential, really. And I think maybe the elite and all that's holding him back, really. So you need to have like a good match with Claudio, and you need to see what they can do. And then also too, you had Camille versus two jobber people. And Camille is like this girl who's palling around with Mercedes Moné. It's kind of like Mercedes Moné is enforcer. Like, she's kind of like the China or whatever. She's the enforcer. I'm very happy to see this. You have two people face Camille, and they lose very quickly. That's how you establish somebody. If you're going to establish Mariah May, like I said, that should have been a squash match. And then the last match of the night was Jeff Jarrett versus Brian Danielson. I was very happy with what they did with this match. I remember MJF and Kyle Fletcher. I wasn't happy that they fought in the bleachers. They should have saved this for this, because if you're going to have a spot where people are fighting, we have two wrestlers going into the bleachers and going into the crowd and going to do like other stuff. You need to do like once a night, really. I will say that through this entire show, I did not see a table spot, and I'm very happy with that because they do that way too much, really. But I think that this match was kind of a bit of a reset button, because Jeff Jarrett's a babyface. He is supposed to be a heel, really. So definitely, I'm seeing him come out and hit Bryan Danielson, and what we know about Jeff Jarrett just being a glory hog and fighting dirty and being like a very deceitful person. They did that very well. I like what they did when they had like the fight in the concessions, and I understand why they do that. It's because, it's something that you'd see in a pay-per-view, so you're trying to like have some of that on television, because honestly, it makes the people who go to these shows being like, yeah, I really want to see that, because imagine how cool it'd be if you're buying soda and you're seeing Jeff Jarrett takes from your hand and whacks across Bryan Danielson's face. That was good. But it was a really good match, really. It really felt like it was like really one side. It was Jeff Jarrett getting a lot of stuff in, and then Bryan Danielson. Obviously, Jeff Jarrett loses this match, and that's really predictable, really. I think that what I would say is that I do appreciate them trying to move forward with the Wembley Stadium storyline. I'm a little surprised they have like 7 matches, so that is a little concerning, because next week they have like 1, 2 more shows before Wembley Stadium. Next week is they have 2 more shows. So next week's like the 14th, the next week, the week after that's the 21st. So the unfortunate thing is that they usually have a lot more matches. They usually have like 13 matches. But if they want to do Ospreay and MJF and go a little long, like 30, 40 minutes, then you have to kind of keep it short, really. But this needs to be like a 5-hour show. This is your biggest show of the year. This is like your WrestleMania. So I'm a little worried they may run into a situation where they just put together matches at the last minute, and you can't do that for Wembley Stadium. The other thing that I'm going to say is that I do appreciate that they're going to have the Patriarch at Wembley Stadium. It's going to be either the House of Black or it's going to be the Bullet Club Gold, really. And that's going to be a hard one, because there could be a situation like Christian Cage's going to referee the House of Black and the Bullet Club Gold, decide which one is going to face them at the biggest show of the year. They could easily do something like like a triple match where it's like the three teams face each other, the three-person teams face each other, and I think they might just do that. That's probably what they're gonna do because that's going to get 9 people on the card. They all deserve it, but I do think that Bullet Club Gold needs to face Christian Cage and the Patriarch just because you have Juice Robinson. They know how to talk. House of Black, I've not seen them talk or whatever, so that's what I'm really concerned about. So I do think that I'm happy to see that because Christian, he's a really great heel. He deserves a really big spot, really. But I do think that they need to make more matches, and it should have been a lot of feud building. Like, again, Mark Briscoe, like, I know, like, and I had to kind of give them a pass this week because they had a bunch of travel delays because of the hurricane. The Carolinas have hurricanes right now. So I am going to give them a bit of a pass this week. Just because they could have had more people, they had to rearrange things. So I understand that this show was very much more match driven because you didn't have all the people, but still it wasn't a good show because you could have built more stars, you could have had a lot more promos. I really think the solution is 2 things. I think either they have to have less matches, as people say, or they need to actually just treat they need to just fight for AEW to be a 3-hour show. So you have all these matches, and then you take all the matches in the card. I believe they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think, yeah, if I'm correct, you had 7 matches. Imagine if you had 7 matches on a 3-hour show, and all the rest was promos and character and building people up and all that good things. I think then you would have had a better show this way. So I think that's why AEW should be 3 hours. Get rid of Rampage, make it a 3-hour AEW, and that solves the problem, really. But I do think that, as I said, that it just feels really repetitive. It just way too many matches, segments that you've kind of seen 100 times, very predictable. Wins. They need to kind of make things a little unpredictable. Like I said, I know, I think 2 weeks ago, I missed AEW because I had to work, and I was gonna actually miss it last night because I had to do overtime, but then I hurt my foot, and then I wasn't able to do the overtime, so I was gonna miss last night's show, really. But if they offer me overtime, I may just do that instead of coming in watching AEW. But I just think that it's just a very repetitive formula, and that's kind of the thing that's been hurting this company. So they definitely just have to have surprise wins, and they also have to do something where I think even the people that you don't know or the people that are showing up randomly, have them speak on the microphone and have them have goals, really. So that's always going to help you. What's the goal of Vivian Van? What's the goal of Brian Keith? What's the goal of Roosh Mordos and Roderick Strong? What's the goal of Camille? Because when you kind of stay what other people want, or people that you don't know about, or people that are trying to rise and be something, or people that are established but not as established, that's actually a better thing, really. So that's all I gotta say. I think that there needs to be a lot more improvements with how they do the show and what they have characters say and all that. So definitely lackluster.